Shalom, everybody. This is Avi Abelo for another Pulse of Israel here in our ancestral and eternal homeland, the land of Israel, in our eternal, beautiful, biblical, and indivisible capital, Jerusalem, since King David's time. Today, I want to talk about the growing anti-Semitism. For many around the world, and I've mentioned this before, October 7th was a huge wake-up call. Not just because of the evil Islamic jihadi world that lives within us here in the land of Israel that we have to deal with and get rid of so that it never, ever raises a pinky to ever threaten any Jew or Israeli here in our very precious Jewish state of Israel. Not only is it a wake-up call for Jews worldwide, recognizing that, oh my God, it's not just here in Israel where this pro-Hamas, pro-Jewish genocide, pro-killing of Jews attitude is very much pervasive, but even in the streets of New York, Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., London, Paris, Toronto, Australian streets, etc., etc. No, it's not only all of that stuff that was a wake-up call. I think the biggest wake-up call actually is the shock at how, as opposed to Jews worldwide, not just in Israel, feeling sympathy from humanity for what we just experienced as a people, the greatest tragedy ever for the Jews to experience since the Holocaust on October 7th. Not only did we not receive sympathy, but we see a spike and growth in Jew hatred, in pure support for killing Jews. Because again, whenever you hear the chant from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, well, what about the Jews? What about all 7+ million of us who live here? It's about genocide, right? And it's support. It's full out support of killing Jews. Intifada. That's violence against Jews. And again, when they say intifada, and they want to globalize the intifada, they want a global violence against Jews and other infidels all over the world. And again, I don't have to talk about the growth of this Jew hatred within the Muslim world or within the progressive left world, right? The left-right alliance, the global alliance against the Jew and about taking down the West. I've talked about a lot. Today I want to focus on the shock that many are feeling where they're seeing a growth of this anti-Semitism even from the conservative right wing of the political map, abroad, especially in the United States, and specifically dealing with the growth of conspiracy theories that blame Israel for what we just experienced, for that tragedy. Right? There are actually people blaming Israel, that Israel orchestrated it, that Netanyahu orchestrated it. And there are all different theories out there floating around in these conspiratorial circles. That it was done in order, it's part of a global agenda, it's part of Israel then getting rid of the Arabs from the Gaza Strip, etc., etc., etc. Okay, there's so many different theories popping up, and people are wondering what's going on. Why this growth of anti-Semitism today, and why the growth of anti-Semitism on the right, where again there has always been anti-Semitism everywhere, on the left, within the Islamic world, and the right, always been. But all of a sudden there is a growth everywhere in all of these communities, and it's very unfortunate, but I want to help people understand it, and I wanted to go through it a little bit, because there are powerful people out there in the world who do bad things, and there are powerful evil people who actually have agendas to do bad things, whether on a global level or whether in their own countries. Like, yes, I'm a big believer that God created light and darkness. God created the ability for good and evil. Each and every person has the ability to choose. We were given free will. Are we going to choose good or are we going to choose evil? And then some people do evil, and people have evil plans. Powerful people, rich people, politically powerful people. Yeah, there are bad people out there in all these different circles. Unfortunately, it's very easy for some people to, when they start thinking about bad people out there or bad agendas out there, they start throwing out the name the Rothschilds, right? The Rothschilds are one of the original banking families, and at the time when it started, it was a very much Jewish family. If I'm not mistaken, those involved in the banking dynasty of the Rothschilds today, they aren't really connected to their Jewish identity. If most of them, if not all of them, have all intermarried, they're not really associated with the Jewish people. Again, those involved with the banking dynasty. But yet, they are, because they are originally Jewish, the trope out there is that the Rothschilds rule the world as one of the banking families. Jews rule the world. Zionists rule the world. And hence, Israel, Jews, Zionists are bad. And this growth of anti-Semitism is metasizing, especially in circles that have an understanding that there are bad players on a global level that do things to hurt humanity because they're out for themselves. They're out to control the world. They're out to control the world's resources. And again, on a global scale. So they put the focus on the Rothschilds. Well, even if you do put the focus on the Rothschilds are one of a number of huge banking families. There are Italian banking families, there are American banking families. The Rockefellers are one of those families. Again, none of the other families are Jewish, so the Rothschilds happen to be Jewish. But you're going to but what people on the especially on the right here is the Rothschilds, and it's the Jews, and it's the Zionists, and Israel's the source of all bad. Like, these are the tropes that are being said right now, and said even more since October 7th. Because there are plenty of people out there, and I'm included. We don't believe the media. I tell you not to trust the media. And sometimes we are given a narrative that is being pushed for whatever reasons. And you know me, I talk about some of these narratives sometimes. For instance, Ukraine. All right? Yes, there is a war going on between Ukraine and Russia, but I don't believe Ukraine is a good guy. It doesn't mean Russia is a good guy either. It could be that sometimes you have two bad guys. One might be a little better for some reasons, but Ukraine is not a good guy. Ukraine has a lot of problems. And later on, I'll actually show you a clip of someone I interviewed in Phoenix during my recent trips at Turning Point USA, a Ukrainian who lives in America, a Ukrainian Jew who lives in America, and he blatantly calls out how Ukraine is bad. It's bad news. But yet the media narrative feeds how Ukraine is good, and America has to support Ukraine, and America has to give billions of dollars to Ukraine. Well, Americans are like, wait a second, we have so many problems in America. Why are you giving all this money to Ukraine? And Ukraine isn't even a good guy. But the media narrative, and also from the political elite, push that Ukraine is the good guy. So people have woken up and realized, okay, we're not being told the truth, so we can't necessarily trust what we're hearing in the media, what visuals are true, what visuals are not true, what is being made up. That exists, and now it exists on so many issues, with so many people not trusting what we are being told. So hence, when they hear that the story about Israel and the tragedy that took place on October 7th, you hear many people saying, once again, oh, it's all a media narrative, it's all to push in order for America to give money to Israel, but Israel's really at fault, and what happened on October 7th didn't really happen, and it's AI, meaning all of a sudden you're hearing all these things also having to do with Israel. And I know where it's coming from, because I also don't trust the media, don't trust the media narrative on Ukraine, don't trust the media narrative on many stories. So all of a sudden, I'm here in Israel, and I know what's going on in Israel, and I know the truth. And in this case, believe it or not, what happened on October 7th, the tragedy of what happened, and of Hamas terrorists and civilians running in and infiltrating into Israel and killing our soldiers and killing our innocent men, women, babies, toddlers, innocent grandmothers, brutally raping, mutilating, burning, like it's all true. But there are plenty of people who don't believe it. And then some people who say, okay, it's true, but Israel is responsible for it. And therefore, because we don't believe the media, and this is some global agenda about propping up Israel, and it's about America giving money to Israel. Whatever it is, it's leading people to hate Jews. And it's a very, very sad reality, because I know, and I talk about this all the time, the Jew is the canary in the coal mine. Whenever they come after the Jew throughout history, they end up going after other populations as well. We're just the first ones in line. So when society allows the Jew to be the easy target and to be easily attacked without being defended, well, it's then going to boomerang and hit some of those other populations as well. So that's why I want people to wake up and realize, no, folks. This story about Israel is true, and put a stop to the growing conspiracy theories having to do with Israel. Now, does that mean I don't have many questions about what happened on October 7th? I have plenty of questions about what happened on October 7th, and sometimes I've hinted at them, sometimes I talk about them. But I don't believe they are connected to anything that is being discussed and talked about in these circles, specifically on the right, but it's also on the left and in Muslim circles, that is blaming Israel for what happened on October 7th, blaming Israel and the Jews for the evils happening in the world and to the economy and etc. And again, let me clarify something. There are some people who are very powerful in powerful positions, whether in finance, whether in media, whether in politics, who happen to be Jewish. Just like there are plenty of powerful people in the media and finance and politics who are Christians or atheists or Muslims or blacks. But it's so easy for people to throw that Jews run the media, Jews run Hollywood, Jews run the finance system. Guys, no. Some people in those circles happen to be Jewish and powerful, and they might be doing very bad things that even I call out. But I'm not calling them out because they're Jews. They happen to be doing bad things because they run the media together with their non-Jewish partners. And again, the majority are non-Jews. In finance, in politics, same thing. But yet so many people run to attack. Oh, it's the Jews. They're the ones behind all this evil. And again, no, we're not. We're being scapegoated as a people. Some individual people who might be Jewish, might be involved in those things. Again, right now the big headline news is Jeffrey Epstein. Horrible, evil. Yeah, Jeffrey Epstein was Jewish. He did not do this as part of a greater Jewish people agenda on the global scale. No, he happens to be a very bad person who did very bad things that I've been talking about for years, even when people were being censored for talking about it. And when it was fake news, even though today it's known to be true, so I was talking about it back then. It's horrible. He was a Jew. But he doesn't represent the Jewish people. So people are saying, oh, Jeffrey Epstein was run by the Mossad. You want to know something? I don't know if that's true or not. But I do know intelligence agencies work together around the world. So if the Mossad was involved, I'm sure the CIA was involved. I'm sure MI6 was involved. So don't pin it on the Jew, because there are plenty of bad players who were potentially involved with Epstein who are not Jewish. And I'll tell you this, majority of them involved with Epstein were not Jewish. But anti-Semitism is growing because these tropes about Epstein being a Jew, oh, it's the Jewish people. Now, I have no problem with attacking Epstein. And I think anyone who says that calls you an anti-Semite because you attack Epstein, that's totally wrong. For instance, I'm one of the big voices calling out George Soros for years. George Soros is ruining the globe. He ruins countries, brings down their economies. He donates billions of dollars to destroy Israel. So people say, oh, it's anti-Semitic to call out George Soros. No, it's just because he was born a Jew. No, it's not. He's a bad guy. I don't care if he was born a Jew. I don't care if Epstein was born a Jew. They don't represent the Jewish people. They're not doing what they're doing in the name of the Jewish people. They are individuals who have happened to have been born Jews, and they do horrible things. But again, they're a minority. Majority of bad people doing bad things around the world, and maybe together with Epstein or Soros, are non-Jews. Whether Christians, Muslims, atheists, blacks, Latinos, right? Everyone's got their bad apples. Because we're all human. But little by little, more and more people are hearing, oh, it's the Jews. Oh, it's Israel behind it all. And this is leading to a growth of anti-Semitism. Again, not just on the left, not just in the Muslim circles, but also on the right. And these are very, very dangerous times. Very dangerous times, not just for the Jew, because we're the first ones to get hit on the head by this, literally with violence against us in the streets. When more and more people are hearing these things, whether on establishment media or on social media, right? And especially with social media today, everyone gets to say whatever they want to say, and you have channels and influencers saying all these things, so you have millions and millions of people hearing all these things and believing them. So these are very, very scary times. So we get it hit first, but then it affects everybody. Because again, once it's open season on the Jew, and then it's open season on everyone else. So everyone has to be worried if we're the ones being singled out and attacked. So it's because of this growing anti-Semitism also within the conservative right circles that I went to the Turning Point USA conference in Phoenix back in December. And it was important for me because I want to start talking to people and especially influencers within that world to get the truth about the Jewish people and the land of Israel and what's going on, especially post-October 7th and what happened on October 7th. As someone who serves in the IDF, as someone who has a son serving in the IDF, in and out of Gaza, I want to give them the truth. And again, you know me, I give the politically incorrect truth, and I call out when bad people in Israel do bad things. I don't gloss over that, because I believe dealing with the truth, calling out the bad, is necessary for us to reach better times. It's all part of the redemption process, right? It's realizing, oh my God, there is good and evil, and not just focusing on the good and trying to ignore the evil. No, I don't want to ignore that. No, I hope it's all good. No, I don't want to think that person's bad. No, some people do bad things in all countries, at all political levels. So I'm there. I'm calling it out. So I went to Turning Point, and it was amazing. And unfortunately, there are some people who are calling Turning Point anti-Semitic, right? And that whole organization anti-Semitic. Look, here is a headline. I'm going to read it to you. Headline from Rolling Stones magazine, right? What do they write? Turning Point USA's America Fest is infested with anti-Semitism. So, no, it's not. There are some individuals in the conservative right who are pushing anti-Semitic tropes and pushing anti-Israel tropes, but they're a minority. But again, I went there to try to make sure I'm getting seen and talking, to try to make an influence with whoever possible, to stop the growth of that from regular people so they don't listen to these influencers who happen to be on the right. So I want to start by showing you this clip of me being interviewed on like a major show that is seen by millions of people within the conservative right in America, and that happens to be Steve Bannon's War Room show. And again, whether you like Steve Bannon or not, because again, you might be some viewers who are watching me who love him, and they're big MAGA Donald Trump people, and other people right now watching me are like, oh my God, no, we hate Donald Trump and we hate Steve Bannon for whatever reasons, and I'm not going into all that. But the reason I wanted to be interviewed on his show was in order to reach his audience, which is exactly what I did. So here's the clip.
All right, take all the good stuff.
Hang on, guys. So a couple things here. This is my friend from Israel. Talk to me, sir, about you, your son, and what's your message?
Right now, my son is one of the commando IDF soldiers fighting in Gaza. We have no clue what's going on with him or his friends.
All right.
I just came from my reserve duty in the beautiful holy hills of Judea and Samaria. Our soldiers are being killed and injured because in higher numbers than necessary because the Biden administration is stopping them from really fighting as they should be. And people have to understand, we are fighting evil, a global evil. We are on the front line of the whole freedom-loving world. All Americans should be supporting the Jewish state of Israel today and understand we don't want any U.S. soldiers there. We want to fight our own fight, but Americans, we need you because we are protecting all of you as well. Please do not believe all of the different theories going around blaming Israel for this horrendous tragedy that took place, that massacred, mutilated, burned innocent babies, children, women, kidnapped grandmothers. We are on the front line of the freedom-loving world, everyone.
Thank you very much. Do we have a website to go through or social media? What do you got?
Yes, my website is pulseofisrael.com. You could follow me also, Avi Abelo, Instagram, Facebook.
Speaking of, thank you, brother. Speaking of Israel, modern day holy war is going to take us out.
All right, so you can see that in the 1 minute that I was given on Steve Bannon's War Room show, I tried to give it whatever information of the truth about Israel, what we're going through, and to push back against the lies and the conspiracy theories that people, even on the right, with influencers on the right, that are pushing, that are anti-Israel, leading to the growth of anti-Semitism in those circles as well. Now I want to show you some of the interviews I did with people on the ground while I was at Turning Point USA. And I was asking them straight out, what do you think about this Rolling Stone article, title? Do we have growing anti-Semitism in the conservative right? Is Turning Point anti-Semitic, etc., etc., etc.? So I want to put this roll of interview clips so you could see for yourself what people there had to say when I asked them that question. All right, everyone, back at Turning Point USA, this time with Justine. How you doing, Justine?
I'm great. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
It is a pleasure having you. And you are also vocal, outwardly showing your Jewish identity here. Some people are saying that Turning Point USA, anti-Semitic, anti-Israel. What do you have to say to people who are making those claims?
There are bad eggs everywhere. I'm a Turning Point USA ambassador, and I've been part of Turning Point since 2018. I actually spoke at the Jewish Leadership Summit twice. This is the only conservative youth organization that actually has entire summits just for Jewish people. Everyone, of course, can come, but it's dedicated to helping Jewish people and to defending Israel and defending not just Israel, but the West and the defense of Jews who are being attacked in New York. And I actually spoke about that at the Jewish Leadership Summit. Dennis Prager came, and he's actually here today. So I love Turning Point. And unfortunately, there's one sad thing about both the right and the left when it comes to Jews. Jew hatred, it's the oldest hatred in the book. And when things hit the fan, unfortunately, you're going to get hatred from all sides. And the left is really the ones, the Marxist left, they're the ones, plus the radical Islamists that are really peddling this anti-Semitism right now. But you do have people on the right, and it's sad to see. But we have to stand together. There's a lot of people here, Christians who are allies of the Jewish people who believe in Judeo-Christian values. So we have to stand with them, and I hope they stand with us.
Yeah. Wow. And why are you here at Turning Point USA? People say Turning Point USA is anti-Semitic. It's very white and Christian.
No, they're not. No, they're not. They're really pro-America, pro-Israel, and pro-common sense. That's what they are. Yeah, and I like Turning Point USA, and it's their message. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Naveed. God bless us all.
Thank you.
Yeah. We are at Turning Point USA. We were just interviewed for Steve Bannon's War Room show. People say more on the liberal bent of the Jewish world. Steve Bannon is an anti-Semite. People here at Turning Point is an anti-Semite. Did you feel any Jew hatred here? Is Steve Bannon an anti-Semite? Are we feeling any Jew hatred, anti-Israel sentiment here?
Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, I actually feel more comfortable in some churches than I do in the Reformed temples. That's why I don't go to Reformed temples, and I just joined the Chabad.
So, you see all these people? We're not feeling any anti-Semitism here. Are there some anti-Semites within the right-wing movement? Of course, but it's not Turning Point, and it's not Steve Bannon, and we're feeling strong support for Israel here. I'm walking around with my T-shirt.
I'm an Israeli soldier. Ask me anything around here. Everyone's giving me total support. We're praying for you. We support you. So everyone, we're here on the ground. We're telling you the truth.
And yet there are voices even within the conservative circles growing of anti-Semitism and anti-Israel sentiment. What would you be saying to those voices today that are growing within this camp?
So that's a tough question, because that there are people on the right who are anti-Semitic is a given. There are people all over the place. But the threat in America and in the West comes overwhelmingly from the left and from immigrants from Muslim countries. I mean, to deny that is to deny reality, and I don't know how to argue with people who lie.
So there you go. You hear from people on the ground. Some of them are Jews. Some of them are not Jews. And they're talking specifically about this issue. I don't have to repeat what they're saying. The bottom line is as follows. Yes, anti-Semitism is growing. And it is shocking, especially to Jews, to see that specifically post the most horrendous tragedy to befall the Jewish people since the Holocaust, the October 7th massacre of 1,000+ innocent Jews of all ages. That not only did we, the Jewish people and the land of Israel, the Jewish state of Israel, not receive a growing amount of sympathy for the tragedy we experienced, but we've seen the opposite, the growth of Jew hatred. This is a fact, and I tell you all the time that it's going to continue, and it's going to continue on the left, the right, and for Muslims. We Jews, we're going to get it from all sides. But bottom line, folks, stick with me for the politically incorrect truth, so we could stand up for all of us, not just for the Jewish state of Israel, not just for the Jewish people, but for the whole freedom-loving world. Because Jew hatred is a cancer. And as I said before, and I always say, it first comes for the Jews, then it comes for everyone. So if you want to protect yourselves and your families and your communities, help stand with me with the truth for the Jewish people and the land of Israel against this growing Jew hatred. And if you have any questions on how to deal with things that you are hearing, whether about October 7th, whether about Jews and Jewish influence, and what other tropes that are out there, contact me. Send me emails. Ask me your questions. I'm here to answer you. Because yeah, I do not like it that there are some powerful people in the world who happen to be Jews doing bad things and making a horrible name for the Jewish people. But it's important that everyone understand they are not doing what they're doing in the name of the Jewish people. They don't represent the Jewish people. They don't represent Jewish values. They don't represent the Torah. They don't represent God. Most of these powerful people, like Epstein and like Hollywood executives and politicians, they're very much anti-God and pushing anti-Jewish messages and values. And they're not acting as Jews. They just happen to be born Jews. That's it. But if anything happens, or when anything happens, and you hear things, and you're confused, contact me. I'm here to help, because I'm here to save all of us. Because great times are coming, but it's going to be very confusing with a lot of bad things as well. So we just have to hold on to our faith, hold on to our God-given common sense, stick with the Bible. If you're not so learned in the Bible, well, learn it and start learning it more, because it's unbelievable empowering, and internalizing it and realizing it's not a fairy tale and it's our true story, that's our true history, and we're all connected to it. And if there are things we can learn from then to apply to our lives today, the bottom line, great times are coming. Don't let the lies and the hate and the misinformation take you off track. I'm here to help you stay on track. So contact me for anything. I hope this helped clarify some of these issues. If not, send me whatever questions you have. But signing off for another episode of the Pulse of Israel here in our eternal and ancestral homeland, the land of Israel, in our beautiful, ancestral, eternal, and indivisible capital, Jerusalem, since King David's time. And if you are not yet a subscriber to Pulse of Israel, go to pulseofisrael.com and click to subscribe. And if you believe that the work that we do here at the Pulse of Israel is important and more people should see these messages and hear them, well, all you have to do is click on the donate button every once in a while on pulseofisrael.com, so we have the funds for our videos and messages to be seen by many more people. Thanks for watching, everyone. Shalom.
Pulse of Israel, frontline videos from the Holy Land. Support our work by donating today.